Hey everyone, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by RogersBase and Jon Cartwright of Nomcoms to conclude our conversation on the story of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So let's pick up right where we left off.
But just, the connection to the original game, and how it's tied to this game, and how, I'm just wondering if they'll make Xenoblade Chronicles 3, that will be tied into the storyline, if it'll happen after the events of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2, or if it's going to be maybe a prequel, where we basically, the climax of that game gets us to the orbit station. That might be kind of cool. I'm really not sure where they're going to go with it from here on out.
Yeah,
they could go anywhere, because these are kind of set in different worlds, and we still have that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 story DLC to come, so that could go anywhere.
That's true. That's true.
I'm curious what they'll do with that, but it was just the shock of it, wow, they really are going for that connection, but what does that mean? And then by that point, I think, even before that point, when Rex got his vision, did you guys notice that they pulled that, that scene of the Earth was pulled from the original Xenoblade? Did you notice that at first?
Oh, of course, of course, yeah.
I saw that, I'm like, what the hell? Wait, is this a sequel? What is going on here? I was so mystified
It's from that moment where Xenoblade Chronicles 2 kind of elevates the entire series. I was a bit skeptical at first, having a sequel to Xenoblade, but this justifies it entirely, and it makes me so excited for every other game in the series to come, because they're all connected now. We know that.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting.
The interesting thing, though, I think, is where X falls into all of this, because 1 and 2, it makes a lot of sense. But even when you get to the end of X, and I'm somebody who loved the hell out of Xenoblade Chronicles X, I played 130 hours of it, I got to the ending, I saw the secret ending, I've seen everything. The thing that sort of confuses me, because there's a moment when near the ending of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 where you're in the world tree and you see those escape pods. Those escape pods look a lot like that barren room at the end of X, where she walks in and she's like, what is all this? Who are we? And they're freaking called Blade in Xenoblade Chronicles X. That's the name of the squad in that game. So I'm wait a minute. We know that they're not really human, that they're these robot things with other people's minds and souls within them. So is that another explanation for what the Blades are? Do they not really know what they are? Do they actually have core crystals? What's going on here? So I'm curious how they're going to fit that into the main story, because again, I'm not really sure. I feel 1 and 2 really clearly fit. It's not even a question. It's very clearly, all right, this is happening at this point, this is happening at this point. They telegraph it for anybody who's played the original game, but you don't need the original game to get full enjoyment out of the final story. And I think if they keep going in that direction, we're in for probably the best RPG franchise of all time.
Yeah. I mean, X does have a connection to the first Xenoblade 2. There's Telethia in Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Right. I mean, there's characters in Xenoblade Chronicles, but there's Nopon in Xenoblade Chronicles X too. I mean, there's things from the original game that are in there. And the Telethia are in there, but I don't know. I don't think it's as clear. I don't think they really spell out where in the story X takes place.
I think
it
they
could be far future.
The Telethia came from another world. There's some side quest at some point that kind of explains it. It's probably more of a cameo than an actual.
Yeah, I played X before the original, so I did not realize the significance of the Telethia when I played the game. And I'm a little foggy on some of the details now from X about the Telethia, but it's still one of those things. I'm still sort of until I get a very clear connection, I'm still sort of considering X its own sort of offshoot to 1 and 2.
That's kind of what I think too, because my headcanon is that, and we'll talk about this more later, but that split at the ending, where the two timelines kind of go, where you have one side of Klaus in one part and then one side of Klaus in the other. I do wonder if that rip in the universe created this alternate universe that X takes place in, because all this stuff that's in X, it references the original space station. All the stuff that you end up finding, it looks like it could come from that original space station. So I'm curious if maybe the X franchise is literally what you just said. It's an offshoot of a totally separate alternate universe. Because even though technically they're alternate universes in this game too, they aren't really. They're parallel universes going towards the same story. Like, the stuff with Klaus, that's all still happening at the same time, and eventually that sort of gets wrapped up by the ending of this game. And Klaus specifically says, after that scene we were just talking about in Mortha, when you meet him for the first time, he does say that, like, my time here is almost over, and my other half's time is almost done too. And when that goes away, who knows what's going to happen? And so when you see that giant sunset at the end of Chronicles 2, and you see, like, all this stuff sort of getting destroyed, I'm curious if maybe, like, while that is happening, this is happening in the story, but, like, Shulk is creating his new universe while that's happening. So, like, with that sunset, this is kind of a horrible way to think about it, but, like, maybe Shulk is nuking the universe while that's happening, so Rex, Pyra, and Mithra see each other again one last time, and then the universe gets nuked. Or Shulk is creating the alternate universe that becomes Xenoblade Chronicles X, and that concurrently throughout the story, because we see Shulk and Fiora in their own universe at the end of the game, maybe the universe that he created is the universe of X, which goes down that story. They continue down their own storyline within their own universe, and Pyra and Mithra and Rex continue down theirs in their other half of the universe. But basically, Shulk's universe and Rex's universe are always happening on parallel sides of the same dimension.
Yeah, I do believe at least that. As far as it's connections to X where I start being a little unsure about things.
Right.
Because we definitely need I really do hope our next Xenoblade game is X2. We need an X2 after that ending of the original.
Definitely.
That is too much of a cliffhanger at that point. I need a sequel. But yeah, just building into that connection. And I mean, it was kind of funny to have a sort of similar thing where Rex rescues Pyra and, they fall off the edge of the edge of Mortha and fall through. I'm like, oh, it's kind of like in the original where Bionis, where they Shulk and Fiora fell. And no, we get to what's beneath the clouds, and that never occurred to me that we might go beneath the clouds.
Of course, yeah.
Into because we went into the clouds and we saw that it's kind of like an ocean. It just looks like clouds for whatever reason, but it's basically an ocean. Cool. And then you get beneath them and it's the ruined remains of planet Earth, and it's like, holy crap.
Yeah.
My jaw dropped at that moment. I'm like, is this doing what I think it's doing? That's sort of my reaction to it.
That's still that moment that got me more than I think any other moment was that time where you see the discussion with Klaus, and he's talking, to Rex and Pyra and Mithra about, the truth of all of that, like what happened to the ruined Earth. And then, all of a sudden, during that speech with the architect, you hear, "Today, we kill a god." And it's clearly Shulk talking in the other dimension, and I'm like, oh my god, this is actually happening right now. That's where I really started to piece things together, and my mind was really getting blown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What was your thoughts when you fell beneath the clouds, John?
Oh, it was just stunning. As you said, I didn't expect anything to be below there. So when we finally go down, it just kind of clicked. Yeah, I had no idea that was going to happen. And another event that gave me a very similar feeling was when you first go into Elysium, because the entire game's been bringing this up to be this paradise of a land, and then you finally get there, and it's just this ruined, rotting, sort of empty land. It's just crazy.
Yeah. There is a definite, just like, you feel the crushing disappointment of Rex at that point when you finally reach Elysium, and you had this vision of what it was like at the beginning of the game, and that's what you're expecting, and then you finally see it, and it's like, oh my gosh. It's like, because the thing is, when you finally do start climbing the world tree and realize, holy crap, this is actually a mechanical structure, not an actual tree at all, and climbing up through it, like, you start thinking, oh, okay, well, I can sort of see how this works and why this might still be considered paradise. Okay, yeah, sure, I can go with that. And then you see the ruins of it. It's like, oh my god, like, this is just crushing disappointment after crushing disappointment. And outside, the world's basically ending. Like, the confrontation between Tantal and I think is it Tantal, the group's name? Basically, Malos' group, and all the different Titans and Amalthus. Is just like, holy crap, like, the entire population of the world is at stake as Amalthus is
By the way, I want to Tantal is because I was thinking quietly, like, what is the name of the evil group? Because it's been a while since I've actually gotten to that point in the story, because I've been playing. Tantal is the name of the Titan, the Titan that Zeke's from. Torna is the name of the evil group.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it. I knew I got it. I knew it was T, and I went with T.
Yeah.
Tantal.
Easy mistake.
Yeah, that's all right. I make those.
Why in a game like this? I mean, it's very hard to keep remembering all the names of all the different characters and all the places, so I don't think anyone's going to blame you.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the news that Xenoblade Chronicles 2, for the most part, was made by only 40 staff members?
Was it really?
Really?
Yeah, so Monolith Soft was split up during development. 60% of the company were working on Breath of the Wild, and other projects too, which left the core team as just 40 members for this game. So there's a ton of outsourcing for art assets, but pretty much the entirety of world design was done by just 40 people, which is
crap.
That's insane.
That's insane, yeah.
I'll be honest, that's one of the most epic finales I've ever seen. To have
the world tree?
Oh yeah, when you're going up the world tree and you're seeing all the Titans starting to gather and what Amalthus is trying to do, like competing. Like I love in stories when there are three different sides. Like you got your side, a villain side, and then just another side. Like there's nobody's really allies with each other, and they're all competing with each other towards a single goal. And I love how they can really mix things up. It's a big reason why in One Piece, Skypiea is one of my favorite arcs. Cause
hey, you're talking to the right guy.
Oh, I know. Why do you think I brought it up with you?
Hey, perfect. Yeah.
But yeah, I love those moments, and we had that moment where we want to take them down. But then Amalthus, of course, is not great, and it's like we just sort of have to trust ourselves at this point and take them both down as best we can. But then they start doing the heroic sacrifices, and it's gut-wrenching the entire time.
I mean, that moment you're talking about, the story from three sides and sort of the allusion to Skypiea, and I completely see it. I see that ending at the World Tree almost as a parallel to what happens near the ending of Skypiea, where you've got the few remaining people from Eneru's game, and you've got Robin, I think it was Zoro, the Shandian guy, and then one other person, and they're all standing there, and Eneru's his prediction that all these people were going to come together at the very final moments of these game had sort of come to fruition, and he's like, all right, now it's time to kill each other, and then they all just look at each other and point up at him, and they're like, yeah, we're here to kill you. And that's kind of what happens during the World Tree, where Praetor arrives, and then you actually see Torna there, who's trying to stop Rex and Pyra, and then that one member of Torna, who had that history with the Praetor and all that stuff on the original Blades and with Jin, sort of takes it upon himself to activate that enormous mech thing to then crash into not Lefaria, the Praetor's Titan.
Yeah.
And it starts fighting with the Praetor's Titan, and it's like, oh my god, he's actually helping Rex and Pyra. He's basically saying, yeah, you know what? Go on to Jin. Go on to Malos. If anyone's going to change their mind, it's going to be you. Oh my god, such a great moment. And then, as you're walking up the World Tree, you still see him fighting with the Titan in the background, zooming through the sky. It's so unbelievably epic. If in the next Smash Brothers game we get a stage from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I truly believe we will have to, considering now this game not only was a financial success, but also a critical darling, I think I would love to see that moment on the World Tree be represented as a stage. I think it'd just be absolutely crazy.
Oh, it'd be awesome.
Yeah. It would be maybe a bit of a spoiler for people who haven't played the game. But
bit.
It's absolutely stunning, though.
Yeah.
It's one of the most beautiful moments in the entire game.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I mean, they actually... the whole ending is anime as hell, but I love that about it. That it goes this epic and this crazy, and then you start having Amalthus just being this... he honestly felt more like a true final boss than Malos did by the end.
Definitely.
Because just everything Amalthus was doing and the pure corruption with him and how insane he was going at that point, and how he took out all the other members of the group, and it's just oh my gosh, it's I cannot wait to kill this guy, especially because you had worked up that connection with Jin by having him on your party when you were down in below the clouds.
And then you still don't get to kill him. Jin's the one who gets to kill him.
I think that's appropriate, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then we get beyond Amalthus, and we meet Klaus, and get that whole story, and seeing that scene play out again, just in, improved graphics, and seeing what actually happened to Klaus himself, and how he recognized that half his being is in this other universe, and not knowing what actually happened to Oh, I'm forgetting the woman's name, but the woman that became the other character.
Does it begin with an M?
It does. Oh,
yeah.
we're gonna get crucified in the comments.
Oh
for all
yeah,
these names.
It's been 2 months.
I mean the character from Xenoblade. Like I don't even think he even says that character's name in this game.
Mayneth.
Mayneth.
Yeah, Mayneth.
That's it. Yeah.
She became Mayneth in the other universe, and Klaus has no idea. All he sees is from
it's so good.
Zanza's point of view, and that was such a good twist. Like when I saw that, I'm like, holy crap! This game actually is a 2. It's not a 2 in the same sense of like Final Fantasy. It is truly, basically a sidequel.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I know you were asking about it, like when you were asking, it's like, again, I was thinking of this moment. It's like, wait, Roger, you'll see. Like, you will see.
Well, I knew right away. Yeah, once we saw that cutscene where it was like, you see the space station in the sky, I'm like, okay, all right, where are we going with this? Like, let's see how this plays out. And then it's like, oh my god, of course, Klaus is the architect. Like, naturally.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's so cool. So cool.
It actually made it really tricky in my review, because I was like, all right, I know this happens. Is this game still accessible to those who have never played the original? And
definitely.
And I was looking at it, and yeah, it actually totally is. You could totally play this game first, and then go play the original Xenoblade, and still get the same effect. When you realize, oh crap, that line about killing a god is from this game.
Right.
So I love that moment. I'm curious what your reaction was, John, when you saw it.
I had some idea that there was going to be somewhat of a connection. But yeah, I had no idea it was going to be quite like that. It was just such a good moment. I recognized the scene almost immediately when we're out in space and seeing the station. But yeah, it's just so thrilling because I absolutely love Shulk as a character. And but the day before the game came out, his voice actor Adam Howden actually said something along the lines of, I think he just says something like, so Xenoblade Chronicles X, eh? Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And obviously that's a hint that he's in the game. Mm-hmm. Yes, but I didn't know exactly what kind of form he would be in. I didn't know if Shulk was somehow going to make an appearance. And obviously when it was Klaus, it just made so much sense. But yeah, I adored every single part of this game's epilogue. It was just such a great culmination of 2 of the best RPGs I've ever played.
Yeah. I was so hoping as I was playing through this game, it's like, come on, find some way to get Adam Howden in this game, because it's just sort of a tradition at this point. And
well, it's interesting that you brought up Shulk's voice actor, because I don't know about you guys, but going into this knowing that there was going to be a connection and not knowing what the connection was, I was thoroughly waiting for the moment where I get to the architect's room and it's Shulk, and that this is the universe that he created. Because it's literally how the first game ends, is he creates a new universe. So I thought that's where the story was going by that point. I thought that the architect was going to be Shulk, and that's how it's like literally a direct sequel. And then when it's not that, and that literally the Shulk storyline is paralleling at the exact same time this storyline, it's like, that was such a cool revelation. That was a twist, and that actually made me happy knowing that I went into this knowing that there was going to be something from the original Xenoblade, like that was going to be tied into the story of 2. Because then I thought, like, alright, yeah, it's going to be Shulk. Shulk's the architect, like, I figured out the story beats. And when it wasn't that, I got much more enjoyment out of it.
I'm kind of angry at Nintendo for one thing. In this game's launch trailer, the very last line is where Klaus goes, "Hurry, the time is nigh." That's in the trailer.
Oh.
Is it really?
It's in the trailer.
Never watch. If you're excited for a game from Nintendo, do not watch any of their trailers right before the game comes out. They will always spoil something. Always.
Well, if you go back to some of those early Odyssey trailers, you see the moon in it. It's like,
yeah.
Some of the earliest Odyssey trailers, you're like, oh, yep, there's the moon.
Yep, that's happening. The final battle with Malos, like, it took me a few tries, but I did get him.
Yeah, like right at the end, he tries to do like a final like death blow.
Yeah.
And that got me twice, because I didn't really know how to deal with it. But then I just kind of did like a chain attack at the end. But yeah, I didn't see it coming the first time.
Yeah. I was super happy because I pulled off, at the time, I pulled off my best chain attack against him and got 2 million damage built up on him. I was like,
damn.
I'm like, yeah, I feel pretty good about this, because it took me 3 tries as well. So by that 3rd try, I was like, I had his pattern down. Basically, all I needed to do was get my Morag to have just a little bit more health to survive and be able to handle all that. and managed to pull it off that third time, and then just laid the hurt on him because I was like, I'm done with you, Malos. I am so ready for you to be done. Actually, what's really funny that happened to me is I actually beat him the second try, but I kept having these issues as I was playing where the sound kept like desyncing with the visuals, and I'm like, what's going on here? What's happening? Like, I'm in the ending, and like I beat the game, and like I am not sitting through this ending with this problem where I have the visuals not like the audio just ahead of the visuals. And like, what the heck's going on? And I talked to Chugga Conroy, and he said, "Oh, that's an issue that happens with your Switch if you've been playing it for a while and not fully turn it off." And so I'm like, oh, so I fully turned it off and had to re-beat the boss again so I could actually enjoy it, and that did fix the issue. But I was like, I'm so thankful I did that though, because I would just not get nearly as much out of that ending if the audio visuals were desynced.
Oh, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So
when you were reviewing this game, you were doing like 10 hours every day for I don't know how long.
I think I put in like 12 to 15 hours a day.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how you did it, because I talked to Nintendo about this. Is when you're part of the brand ambassador program, you you get sent a lot of stuff pretty early, but you have to cover it. Obviously, if they're going to send it to you, they expect coverage. And so I had gotten sent in the course of 2 weeks Fire Emblem Warriors, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Super Mario Odyssey, and Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And I remember I had all those games to play through. I had a very little amount of time where I could actually like play everything. And I was like, all right, how in the world am I going to do this? So I hammered through Mario, obviously, like right away. Same with Fire Emblem. I hammered through it. And then Pokemon, because I've been a huge Pokemon fan for a very long time. I wanted to go through all that. And when I finally got to Xenoblade, I was like, you know what? I have all my month of December open. I'll just play through Xenoblade at my own pace. It'll be great. And I'll have my review up by the end of December. And I get through it, I've played like 80 hours, and I'm like, wait a minute, how am I only on chapter 6 of this game? And there's 10 chapters, like, I'm not going to beat this by the end of the year. So when I was at my girlfriend's house, who actually cosplays Pyra, like right before Christmas, I was like, hey, can I just like get you in a video, and we're going to talk about how much we love Xenoblade 2, and then I'll do my review later? She's like, yeah, let's do it. So I uploaded this whole like why I love Xenoblade 2 video, and it ended up doing really well, and Nintendo was happy with it, so I was very happy. Yeah, it ended up working out in the end, but oh my god, I was so scared to like not be able to finish that by the end of the year.
The funny thing with me was I was basically resigning myself to not being able to beat it before the end. Like, okay, I was like, didn't beat X, that's fine. I at least got close to the end. But when I was, again, talking to Chugga Conroy, he was like, we talked to each other quite a lot through this. So it's really nice to be able to discuss with somebody as you're playing through it because of these big moments. And like, imagine going through these big moments and not being able to tell anybody about it. It's like, oh, I need to get this out.
Oh, dude, that was me and Andre with the Ruined Kingdom in Mario Odyssey. We were like, what is this Dark Souls-esque thing? What is this?
Exactly. I can imagine. Like, you're seeing this really cool moment, and you can't talk to anybody else about it. So, like, you got to get that excitement out. So he actually told me, like, because I think I was on chapter 8 at that point. I'm like, oh, I'm at such good points, but I'm like, it's getting so cool, but I have to get this review done because I knew it was going to be a long one because my Xenoblade reviews are always freaking long. And then he told me, oh, I beat the game. How close were you? Oh, it ends in this long. And it's like, damn it. Okay, I'm going to play the game too. So I spent what was supposed to be my review day beating the game and then just cranking out the rest as much as I can because that ending sucks you in so freaking much. Like, you start climbing the world tree, you're not going to want to put the game down.
I don't think I did, actually, from that moment. I think when I got to the world tree, I think I beat that whole thing in one, like, 10-hour, 12-hour, like, chunk.
Yeah, same here. I could not put that chapter down at all.
Yeah, not at all. And it's such a great payoff, too. You see the ending with, well, not see it, but you hear the ending with Shulk and the rest on the other side, and, Klaus knowing the end is coming, and then everything breaking apart and the world tree collapsing, and then you get this new world where all the Titans are forming together to form this new island and the new world starting. It's like it really is this uplifting moment, but also kind of sad because Pyra and Mythra are gone, but then they do come back, and it's like I was happy. I was very happy about that.
Mythra and Pyra coming back. Do you reckon that's a hint that that's where the DLC is going to take place because they're bringing them back maybe for next chapter. Or maybe the DLC is going to be some sort of prequel or something. I literally have no idea where they're going to go with this.
Like on the new continent with all the Titans together?
Yeah,
I mean, that'd be awesome.
That would be crazy, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
super cool.
It might be a little too much effort on their part. I have a feeling it's going to be something built in with what we already have. I think it's probably going to be like something that if you had, sort of like Zelda, like if you had bought it beforehand, you would just naturally go through it as you're playing through the game, rather than post-game, something post-game.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what they were sort of hinting towards at the end. I guess every single Xenoblade game kind of ends on some kind of cliffhanger. Like, the original gives room for maybe more story to come through. X has a very obvious cliffhanger, and then this keeps all the party members alive, which is, again, more could happen.
Yeah, there's still more that can happen. I actually like how there is a very subtle, like, you can get a different ending in this game. It's not major in any big way, but when you were naming the third form of Pyra and Mithra, which name did you choose?
Oh, Pyra.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I chose Pyra too.
Apparently I'm the only one that ever chose Mithra, just because my interpretation was other forms are Mithra. Pyra is Pyra. So I went with Mithra. At the very end, you know how they have that close-up of Pyra? Where I think she says something to Rex, probably "I love you" or something like that. In mine, it's Mithra.
Oh, cool! I didn't even know that.
I was wondering what that did, because it seemed kind of pointless choosing between the two of them, because nothing really came of it.
Yeah, that's all it does. Is like he'll shout out her name during everything going on and during battles and stuff, but otherwise, that's that change in the ending. And apparently, everybody I've talked to has chosen Pyra, so I'm actually kind of glad I chose Mithra, just so I could actually know about that difference. But, yeah, it just really is. I mean, get Pyra's whole dialogue at the end about how she's so happy, and, of course, what we talked about before with Poppy's big moment with her, and how sad that was, and then just that jubilation and seeing how like this world is going to actually continue on. It's a nice happy ending. The game is fantastic. There's a reason it was my favorite game of last year.
It was. See, that's the thing, is when I did my Game of the Year discussion at the end of last year, where I was talking about all the things I really loved, at that point I hadn't beaten Xenoblade 2 yet. I was like right near the ending and I hadn't beaten it. And my favorite games last year was just like incredible. I think everything last year was incredible. But like between Persona 5 and Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild and Cuphead and this, it's like there were just so many really, really good games that I absolutely loved. And so by the end of the year, to me, it came down to Breath of the Wild and Cuphead. But after like I beat this game, and now that it's been like a couple months, I actually think this is definitely my game of the year last year, because I've put so many hours into this game, and I'm nowhere near done with it. Like, I love coming back to this every night, to the point where it's like, Monster Hunter World just came out, Dragon Ball FighterZ just came out, like, the Okami remake just came out. There's a bunch of stuff that I want to play that I'm just, like, literally not playing, because I'm still going back and playing Xenoblade, because I like it so much. It's, like, such a fun routine at the end of the night to be like, after I wrapped up other videos, I could sit down for an hour or two, do some Merc missions, complete some side quests, and then be done. And then by that point, I've like played 2 hours, and I'm like, I really don't want to play anything else right now. I don't want to sit down and like play another video game. I have other stuff I want to do. So yeah, it's Xenoblade's wild, man. It really is amazing. And I am curious where they're going to go with that third game, or like what you guys mentioned, like with the DLC, because the option that I was kind of thinking is the people who've played Xenoblade Chronicles 2 but not Xenoblade Chronicles 1 probably aren't really sure who that third core character is, the third Monado character, right? You've got Pyra and Mithra, and you've got Malos, but people who've not played the first game are probably like, all right, well, what's up with that third core? Like, what happened to that third core? So I would love to see the DLC expand upon Elvis in this universe. I think that would be really, really cool to sort of explain to people like, oh yeah, this third character, you'll know if you've played the first game, this is his backstory, and maybe even unlocking him as a blade or something would be really cool.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be something.
Do you think it's possible for Alvis to exist in this universe then?
Well, yeah, because he's like this all-seeing being, right? He's just like this form of light in the other universe that could become whatever he wants to become. He could be like his regular form with the blue hair and the fur coat, or like at the end of the game where he's just like this speaking thing of light. Like he's not anything. He's just like a being. He's a deity in the world somewhere. So I do think that, yeah, he could sort of create some form of himself within a core crystal and throw it in their universe. I think it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Alvis again. It really is just phenomenal world building where they can connect to the real world, but still have it like, yeah, this makes sense. Like, this works within the rules set forth in this.
I know I complained about saying, I didn't really complain, I said that I prefer the Bionis and Mechonis, but I love how this franchise can just be so diverse. Like, the Titans are obviously very different, and I love that about them, and I can't wait to see maybe a third game going with a completely different setting. And I know we've already seen some concept art of, we have like a man in a suit of armor, and we have this giant floating sort of sky city kind of thing.
So actually, that's not a Xenoblade, though. They have confirmed that is not a Xenoblade game, and the guy in the suit of armor is actually a girl. And apparently that's an action RPG. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That game looks incredible.
I'm looking forward to Monolith Soft breaking out. Like, it's sort of weird. Monolith Soft, like, when they first formed, they had, like, some minor hits, but nothing too major. But somehow, something about Xenoblade clicked with people more so than any other previous games before when they launched out, because they had Bite and Kaitos and all the Xenosaga games, and those were modest hits, but nothing on the level of Xenoblade, I believe.
One thing about this, though, there's lots of tie-ins to Xenosaga, and I kind of wonder, do you think they're going to bring back that franchise and maybe just a trilogy in some kind of way for the Switch?
I think a trilogy is likely at some point, because all of those games would probably be pretty easy to port. They're like PS2 games. And Nintendo's been throwing Cosmos in a lot of games recently. Like, they put her in Project Crosszone, which was also developed by Monolith Soft, and even though that was a collaboration between Capcom and Bandai Namco and Sega, and Bandai Namco technically owns the rights to Cosmos, let's be real, Bandai Namco just makes stuff for Nintendo nonstop now. Like, they made Star Fox Assault, they're making, like, they make, like, Smash Brothers, like, Cosmos, for all intents and purposes, is a Nintendo character. And so if they're gonna, like, make another Xenosaga game, and bring back Cosmos and maybe make a trilogy or something like that, I don't think it's out of the question. I think they could even, that if they want to, they could even tie it in with the story of Xenoblade if they want to. I mean, they have Cosmos as a blade already in the game. Like, they could maybe make some type of connection there and try to tie all the games together.
Potentially. I mean, personally, when I, like, that flashback with Klaus, what that made me really want is a remake of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 in the same style as 2.
Oh man, that'd
like
be crazy.
seeing the characters just really be able to emote like the way that 2 is able to. Like, I love how well the characters can emote in this.
I mean, this is a million-seller franchise now, so why not?
Yeah.
Xenoblade 1 has a huge reputation ahead of it, and I think there's so much potential to sell 1 again. I know they did on New 3DS, but that's limited to just that iteration of the 3DS. It's just New 3DS exclusive. If you put it on the Switch, that opens it up to an entirely new audience, and I think they would really enjoy a remake of the first game.
Yeah.
I want something new, though. I want to go on record saying I do not want a remake as the next game. I want X2, or I want a third Chronicles, or a Xenosaga. A Xenosaga would be dope.
No, what I want most from this franchise next is X2. I need my answers, because as X was the game that got me into the franchise. I still love X to death. I think 2 is better, but I love X to death, mainly because that's a game that really rewards you going off the beaten path and doing all the side quest stuff. Like, you get most of your characterization through the side quests. Like, if you go through just the plot, you're not really going to get much of the story. It's going to feel very bare bones. But if you are going after all the side quests and learning about all the different characters that can join up with you, you're getting a lot of good stuff. There's some really interesting stories in there, and I think that's what made me just love the game so much.
I'm getting flashbacks to those Jar Jar Binks-esque aliens from Xenoblade
Chronicles.
Yeah. The Boss Nass giant final villain, too, at the end of the game.
Yeah, he was. Oh my god, that final boss kicked my ass so much. I was so unprepared for him. Oh man. I don't think I have too much more to say about Xenoblade. I just really enjoyed this ride, and it's probably going to be a little while until we see it come back. I'd say definitely not this year, probably not 2019. What do you think, 2020, or do you think they might manage something by 2019?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, 2020 sounds right.
Yeah.
Do you know how crazy it is, though, to announce a Xenoblade game the same year it releases? It was announced in 2017, and it released in 2017.
None of us expected it to come out.
All of us said, that's the game that's getting delayed.
Xenoblade had a wild ride.
Exactly. It just did not seem possible, and they somehow pulled it off. Actually, I could see us getting a Xenoblade. I could see us getting an export in 2019.
They have showed some interest in it, the producer.
Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I love that game. I'd be happy to play it on the go.
Yeah, it makes sense to do a port of X before you bring it over X2, just because of the cliffhanger of it, and the fact that Wii U did not have as big of an install base, so they'd be really jumping into a blind there if they started X2. It's likely not going to be like 2, where you can easily skip over the first game and still enjoy 2 for what it is. X seems a little bit more connected.
I'm looking on the Monolith Soft website right now, just like to sort of see what games they've made in what years, and like to just put everything together and try to figure out when we're getting the next game. I'm looking at their catalog. I think after Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I can safely say this is the best developer Nintendo has, because I'm looking at their lineup right now. 2011, Skyward Sword and the English release of Xenoblade Chronicles. 2012, Animal Crossing New Leaf and Project Cross Zone. 2013, Pikmin 3 and A Link Between Worlds. 2014, Xenoblade Chronicles for the... Oh, 2015, I'm sorry. Xenoblade Chronicles for the 3DS, Xenoblade X, Splatoon, and Project Cross Zone 2. And then 2017, Breath of the Wild, Splatoon 2, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That is a godlike lineup. Like, this is the best of... I truly believe this is the best developer Nintendo has. And we also know, too, they did background work for all the Smash Brothers games since Brawl. They've been very open about the fact that they mentioned with them, or they worked with them, I should say, like, for the Brawl era when they, were really, like, struggling to get everything out. Because if you remember, that game was originally supposed to be December and then got delayed to the next year, and they went to Monolith to help them. And Monolith helped with Smash Brothers on Wii U as well, along with Bandai Namco. So it's like, man, every good franchise has worked with Monolith Soft and vice versa. So I can't wait to see what they're going to work on next year.
They're great at just supporting other developers and filling in where they need to. And I think that level of experience just shows when they finally do their own original stuff. That's why I'm super excited for whatever this new franchise they're working on is. Like, okay, it might be a while till we get X2, but still, like, that, whatever that might be, I'm invested. I'm interested.
Yeah. I could maybe see at the end of this year an export, maybe like an announcement at E3 of like an export, like Xenoblade Chronicles X, not an export. But like, that sounds like one word. But I could see a Xenoblade Chronicles export maybe in like December of this year, around the same time when Xenoblade 2 came out, to sort of like fill in that niche for people. And then at holiday of next year, we end up getting whatever that new project is from them. And then after that, an X sequel. But I still think they need to sort of like introduce people who were not with the Wii U era to that side story, because I think it is going to end up being crucially important to the history of this franchise.
Yeah, I agree with it, because there's a lot of questions within X that just never got answers, even beyond just the cliffhanger itself. And the great thing is that there's like, you'd think you'd explore all of Mira. No, like, we just explored that one continent. There's easily other continents we can go around the world in X. So they could easily just say, okay, we've reached the next continent we can get to, and here's all this new stuff for you to explore.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I really am. But as far as Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I think it is my favorite in the series. It's, gameplay-wise, story-wise. The only thing I think the original has over it is its locales, but that's not a huge deal in my mind. I mean, it's still fun. There's still a lot of great places. It's just the original was just a little bit more memorable, but otherwise 2 knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, and we haven't even really discussed the soundtrack as well, which is also absolutely phenomenal. There are so many genres, the recording quality is excellent, and it's just fantastic throughout.
Yeah.
The music has always been something great. Oh my god, More Ordain's track is so good!
First time I got there, I'm like, I just sort of stood there listening to it. I was like, I don't want to move. I want to hear this. But any final thoughts from you, Roger?
No, it's the best game in the franchise. I think bar none for me. I love everything about it. And like you said, the world of the original Xenoblade is still classic, and Shulk is by far the best protagonist. I mean, he's there's a reason he's in Smash Brothers, like he's awesome.
There's a reason Adam Howden keeps coming back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, the cast of characters, the story, the music, everything about this game, and the gameplay loop, I think is just the perfect package. And I am so unbelievably excited to see what's going to happen with the future of this franchise. And again, I hope this isn't the end for these characters. Like, I would love it if maybe in, like, the next game, we get the continuation of this story on the new continent, and then somehow, some way, there's, like, a rip from Shulk's universe to their universe, and those characters finally end up meeting up with each other. Like, that would be insane. I would love something like that that then ties both of these, like, parallel universes together with each other in a more concrete way, where, like, the characters actually come face to face. But yeah, I mean, I love it. I absolutely love Xenoblade Chronicles.
My only fear there is that they'd save that kind of story for like a Xenoblade Warriors game. I'd love it in like an RPG, but I can see them doing a Warriors game just for Xenoblade characters.
Yeah, I can see it too.
Yeah, it would feel incredibly badass to reenact some of the scenes from the original Xenoblade Chronicles where you're just taking the Monado and slicing through as Mechon left and right.
Yeah,
that would be kind of awesome.
Plus, you could play as all the Blades as their own characters. You could play as the original cast of Xenoblade. Even throw some of the X characters in there.
Now.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Well, I do think Nintendo is listening. I mean, the fact that Xenoblade sold this much in 1 month, I mean, that's astounding that a sequel to a game that almost didn't come to North America is now a million-selling franchise in the course of a month. I mean, that's outpacing a lot of the big RPG franchises in Japan. So, like, I think they know there's going to be more Xenoblade on the way, and I think they know that people love these characters and just the world of Xenoblade as it is, and they're not going to let that go to waste.
No, not at all. All right, well, I think that covers it for our Xenoblade Chronicles 2 story discussion, so thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And John, where can we find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at Nomcoms, and I'm also doing something with Intendan at the moment, so you can find that on his channel, and we're going to be rebranding that, but we're not really sure what the name is yet, so stay tuned for that.
Cool. And what about you, Roger?
You can find me at RogersBase on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, and on Instagram, and also on my second channel, Game & Vlog, where I put up a vlog from the first Cracker Barrel in California yesterday, which is pretty fun. Fun event. The rest of the day was not fun, but that event was fun.
Yeah, at least you had a little bit of fun, so that's all that matters.
Exactly, yeah.
And of course, make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Xenoblade Chronicles and other things gaming as well. Until next time, bye.